Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. IRS Security Summit announces summer campaign to raise awareness amongst tax pros about identity theft, urges practitioners to boost security immunity. IR 2021-152, July 14, 2021, Washington. Continuing an effort to battle tax-related identity theft, the IRS, state agencies, and the tax industry announced today that the annual campaign to raise awareness among tax professionals about data security will begin next week. The 2021 campaign begins as the number of data thefts reported by tax professionals to the IRS continued to climb. Through June 30th, 2021, there have been 222 data theft reports this year from tax professionals to the IRS, outpacing the rate of 211 in 2020 and 124 in 2019. So we have an increase of the data theft here. So each report can impact hundreds of taxpayers and threaten tax professionals' businesses. So obviously, as a tax professional, have a lot of sensitive information, and therefore you could be ending up as a target for people seeking identity theft. So they're trying to basically boost awareness about that and seeing what we can do on the security side for it. Quote, boost security immunity, fighting against identity theft, end quote, will urge tax professionals to take basic actions to stem the data theft from their offices. This is the 6th year that the Security Summit partners, the IRS, state tax agencies, and nation's tax community have worked to raise awareness about these issues. Quote, the Security Summit continues to work cooperatively to battle tax-related identity theft, but we need the help of tax professionals in this effort, end quote, said IRS Commissioner Chuck Reddick. Quote, we continue to see instances where tax professionals did not take simple steps that could have protected their clients and their business. Tax professionals must take a shot at basic security steps to protect against relentless efforts by identity thieves to steal data and tax information, end quote. Identity thieves and fraudsters were especially active last year and this year as they used the COVID-19 pandemic, the nationwide teleworking practices, and the economic downturn to fuel a variety of scams and schemes to steal money and identities. So obviously part of the uptick that's happening here, we have the continuing problem of security becoming more and more of an issue as advances in technology keep continuing forward. But also there's a lot of money on the table for identities, different identities, even just basic identity information because of all the kind of stimulus packages and whatnot that are out there with regards to the COVID-19. So clearly the demand for identity thieves has gone up as these programs have gone up, and so need to be the securities. So tax professionals and key targets of criminal syndicates that are tech savvy, tax savvy, and well-funded. These scammers either trick or hack their way into tax professionals' computer systems to access client data. They use stolen data to file fraudulent tax returns that make it more difficult for the IRS and states to detect because the fraudulent returns use real financial information. So obviously, the basic information to file the tax return will typically just be the name and the social security number and so on. But they're getting more detailed. You can't get more detailed information. And note that filing the tax return these days with a fraudulent tax return can be more advantageous due to the fact that you've got those refundable credits, the earned income tax credits and whatnot, and these stimulus payments and these types of things, which can, again, raise the level of demand for identity theft individuals here. So the Security Summit, there's a link to that here, formed in 2015 to take its own shot at fighting against identity theft. The summit partners made great inroads against tax-related identity theft, dramatically reducing confirmed identity theft returns and saving billions in tax dollars. During the next 5 weeks, the Security Summit partners will highlight a series of simple actions that tax professionals can take to better protect client data from theft and help ensure that the progress in tax-related identity theft that started in 2015 continues on its path. Highlighted recommendations will be to use multi-factor authentication to protect tax preparation software accounts. So multi-factor authentication, probably most people are aware of this at this point in time because they're doing it even on the social media accounts where you have to get like a link to your phone and whatnot. So you have two devices that you need to get into the system. Most of the tax software that I believe the IRS has been kind of pressuring the large tax software providers to provide the identity the double verification identity login information as well. And we've got to make sure that the tax professionals opt into that and take that option, because that could be one of the major components to actually stop people possibly from getting into the actual tax software. So all tax software providers now offer multi-factor authentication options, which require more than just a username and password to access accounts. This feature is offered on tax preparation products for both tax professionals and taxpayers. This is a key step in securing sensitive financial data. Multi-factor authentication is in addition to traditional actions such as using antivirus software, strong password phrases, and virtual private networks to protect connections between telework locations and offices, all critical steps for tax pros. Obviously, the other kind of problem we had here was with the COVID-19, more people are working outside of the office. If you have a centralized office that people are going to, and as you have that more access from different locations, that again opens up some possibilities for identity theft to hack into the system. Sign up clients for identity protection PINs. The IRS now offers IPPINs to all taxpayers who can verify their identities online, on the phone with an IRS employee after filing Form 15227 or in person. The IPPIN is a 6-digit number that is known only to the taxpayer and the IRS. It helps prevent an identity thief from filing a fraudulent return in the taxpayer's name. So the IPPIN is kind of like a double verification it's like a second social security number in essence, which can help stop people from being able to file your tax return, even if they get the basic information of the social security and the name. And note that basic information to get is when you're talking about a social security number these days that you've had since birth, and you're giving it to every financial institution that you basically have to be dealing with at this point in time. It's becoming more and more likely as everything gets digitized that that social security number will be compromised possibly at some point in time. And so notice that it would make more sense from a security standpoint, you would think, to have a security number that actually changes over time, which of course would be quite burdensome in some ways, but that, if you had a security number that actually updated every year or something like that, then, and the IRS knew what that was, then it would be far more difficult for someone to basically get that identity number for a longer period of time and be able to basically do something with it. So at least on the IRS side, you can opt in to the second PIN, which would be a second identification number, which you could get your clients to do if you're a tax professional. Now, obviously, doing that will cause you more problems when you prepare the tax return, because you got to make sure that you got the double authentication, 2 security numbers, to make sure that the return goes through. But it might be worth it. It would be worth it if it could stop, the pain of on your clients and yourself, basically, to go through an identity theft kind of situation and have to, deal with that with the IRS. So in any case, that's an option here as well. So tax professionals can obtain an IPPIN for their clients. Clients must verify their identities to the IRS. The easiest way to get an IPPIN tool, there's a link to that here on IRS.gov. Help clients fight unemployment compensation fraud. One of the larger scams in 2020 involved identity thieves using stolen identities to file unemployment compensation benefits with the states during the pandemic-induced economic downturn. States issued Form 1099-G to taxpayers in the IRS to report taxable unemployment income. For 2020, some taxpayers received multiple Forms 1099-G from states as thieves used their names to steal benefits. So I'm not seeing what they're offering to fix that problem, but obviously that's another issue as well. When they had the downturn and whatnot, then unemployment possibly could be available to many people, and many people may or may not be taking the unemployment, and other people could then try to use their identity to get the unemployment check sent to them, which apparently was a big problem in 2020, once again, as we saw the downturn that took place. Avoid spear phishing scams. One of the most successful tactics used by identity thieves against tax professionals is the spear phishing scam. Thieves take time to craft personalized emails to entice tax professionals to open a link embedded in the email or open an attachment. So again, this obviously, as a tax professional, you're always looking for new clients and whatnot. So it can be difficult to weed out the new clients from the scamming type of emails. And obviously, anything that you download could then have some kind of virus on it and whatnot, and then cause problems from that point. So for 2020, tax pros were especially vulnerable to spear phishing scams from thieves posing as potential clients. Thieves might carry on an email conversation with their target for several days before sending the email containing a link or attachment. So that can be, if you're dealing with a more sophisticated, obviously it's almost laughable to look at the less sophisticated efforts, because that's just a shotgun effort oftentimes. And even, the email itself often says, it gets caught by the spam mail. So this is spam. But a more complicated kind of process could involve somebody that basically, builds a relationship to some degree and then sends the malware stuff, a week later after communications have been in process for some time, which can be a bit more tricky and much more difficult to identify. So the link or attachment may secretly download software into the tax pro's computers that will give thieves remote access to the tax professional system. Know the signs for identity theft. Many tax professionals who report data thefts to the IRS also say that they were unaware of the signs that a theft had occurred. There may be many signs that tax pros should be aware. These include multi-clients suddenly receiving IRS letters requesting confirmation that they filed a tax return deemed suspicious. Tax professionals may see e-file acknowledgments for far more tax returns than they filed. Computer cursors may move seemingly on their own. So yeah, if your computer has a ghost in it and starts typing things and looking up stuff like on the browser, and especially opening your tax software, that by itself, that's it. That's a problem. That's an indication there's a problem. So more information on these tips will be available every Tuesday over the next 5 weeks. This summer series also coincides with the annual IRS Nationwide Tax Forum. There's a link to that here, which are held virtually this summer over a 5-week period beginning July 20th. The 2021 forums feature 3 webinars focused on cyber and information security that will be live streamed as follows. They got the Cybersecurity for Tax Professionals Advanced Session, presented by the American Coalition for Taxpayer Rights, July 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, helping you and your clients steer clear of fraud and scams, presented by the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, August 4th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and the IRS Criminal Investigation Deeper Dive into Emergency Cyber Crimes and Crypto Tax Compliance. That's going to be on August 5th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. For more information and to register, visit IRS Nationwide Tax Forum. There's a link to that here. There'll be a link to this in the description.